Howdy. Let's chat about a list of things this time. So, I kind of like to do videos where I read a book and then I just do a review on it, and that's kind of that. It's self contained. Or there's another booktuber I really like. Her channel's called Just Key, and she made me realize that I really appreciate what she calls author spotlights or like series spotlights. And I've kind of emulated that a little bit. The one drawback of that I realize is it means like 5 or 6 books kind of all went into one video. So that catches up to you and what you've been reading lately kind of fast. But yeah, I'm probably not going to do a whole lot of TBR wrap up, that kind of thing. It's not for me, I don't think. Although I am going to do a little bit of that today, but this is why. So, real quick, I am going to review the last book I read, The Unknowers, How Strategic Ignorance Rules the World by Linsey McGoey. This is from Zed Publishing, which I think is a little indie, kind of political science-oriented publisher. And I found it on the recommended shelf at this fantastic little bookstore in Rockland, Maine, called Hello Hello Books. I actually didn't buy this copy there. I bought another one from that same shelf and realized once I got home that I still wanted to read this and the library didn't have it. So, that copy came from Thrift Books, but you probably don't care about that. Anyways, the theme of it's, how strategic ignorance rules the world, right? And I think it billed itself a little differently than what it actually is. I really enjoyed the parts that were more in line with its blurbs, where it just kind of exposed how corporations and those in power take just insane advantage of the concept of plausible deniability to get away with things that hurt people, rob people, and kill people, which is infuriating. And the book uses several, I think, fairly well-researched examples of that. The latter half of it kind of focuses on the pharmaceutical industry. But the rest of the book it's got a lot more of an academic bent to it, which is fine. I try to read theory sometimes, but it was a little bit nebulous. I did really like the parts where it talks about how much of Adam Smith's work, The Wealth of Nations, has been, she thinks, very intentionally repressed and left out of the abridged versions, which, if you've read it, 99.9% chance you read an abridged version, because it's like 2 billion pages long if you have the entire work. But, so he was not advocating, I think, what a lot of us have been taught that laissez-faire economics is, in the sense that we know it today. He was actually much more in favor of treating the mercantile class with extreme caution. And there's direct quotes that I surely would not have guessed had come from him in the book. I found that to be very interesting. Also, the fact that John Stuart Mill co-wrote his work with his wife and stepdaughter, which she was actually publishing after his death. A lot of his peers just pressured her into removing all acknowledgement of their contributions to the work, which is also very infuriating. So it does, the first half of the book is a lot of re-examination of what key Enlightenment thinkers actually thought versus what we've been taught to think that they thought. But that's kind of where it gets into these themes being split between the impact of plausible deniability, and then there's also the theme of ignorance as how it's used in rhetoric to try and disenfranchise the average working class voter, especially in regards to people who are trying to push us into technocracy. And I thought the main idea of that argument was basically there's so much that we don't know that even, it's kind of like the difference between one and 1 million in comparison to infinity, and they're almost the same number. It's the same idea in regards to how much there is that we collectively don't know. If you put any individual's knowledge up against that, then we're functionally all on the same level. Especially considering like how many different specializations there are. I truly believe that. I highly respect, specialized knowledge. I'm not saying expertise is a made-up concept by any means, but I also heartily disagree with people who try to use that as a tool to degrade democracy. So, I did get that. I did appreciate her taking a look at all this. She tries to kind of coin some new terminology, like she starts talking about the strongs and the smarts and the this and the that, and this is where it got really kind of in the, well, she is trying to write this for readers of sociology. I just think, given how it's marketed, she could have captured a much wider audience if she had reined that in a little bit. It also might have prevented something that got on my nerves throughout the book, is she keeps wording things like way too wordy. Sorry, that's a terrible way to phrase it. But instead of saying like, oh, plausible deniability, or you pretended not to know that or whatever, she kept using the words like the influence of unknowing and unknowledging it. I don't know. It just felt like she kept putting the un prefix in front of everything, and I felt like I had a headache trying to parse all that. That was pointless. So I am a firm believer in break it down as much as you can. Like my vocabulary's okay. I don't know all the SAT words, but I know a few of them. So usually I kind of gauge it as like, if this is feeling like, if it's starting to feel like word salad, then it probably is because it is kind of word salad. But yeah, so that's most of my thoughts on that. I gave it 3 stars. But between all that, I felt a little bit neutral on it. But I don't regret reading it. So if you just skipped ahead to this point because nonfiction's not really your cup of tea or political science or whatever, that's fine. I'm probably going to do a bunch of little odes to my non-cozy reading like this that, it's not what the channel's about, so you can just kind of yeet that if that's what you prefer to do. Something I'm currently audiobooking is, crap, what's the name of it? Oh, how could I forget that? How Y'all Doin by Leslie Jordan. So I hate that I didn't really know much about him until right before he passed away, kind of recently. Just for context, I hardly ever listen to audiobooks. I know it's supposed to be something really useful if you got the ADHD and all that, but my experience has been the reverse. I just usually don't process them. Like I'll put them on and then 30 seconds later, I will literally no idea what they said. None. No recollection. Which is funny because I listen to podcasts like a fiend. I figured out it's something about, if it's in the second person, it's infinitely easier for me to tune into. I don't know why. I think a lot of people have this experience, but it took me a long time to have that epiphany. But so anyway, this is a hoot and a half though, and it's also very heartwarming. Like, I'm about a quarter of the way through it now, and he was a treasure. He was really a treasure. It took me forever to get my hold on the audiobook from the library, but I'm just zipping through it now. Even if you have to pay for it, even the first 25%, I feel very confident saying that would be worth your money. Let's see. I am currently reading Murder Always Barks Twice by Jennifer Hawkins. That's number 2 in the Chatty Corgi series, which I'm obsessed with. I'm a little biased as a corgi parent, but it's really sweet. When I'm done with that, maybe done with the 3rd one, I'm pretty sure is out already, I want to make a little, video just for that series, but I also want to do a corgi mystery roundup. Just, there's quite a few of them out there, and I want an exhaustive list. I sourced a little help from the good folks of the Cozy Mystery subreddit. I've got a little Corgi TBR to hit up now. I don't know if I'll get to every last one of them before I try to make a video, but I think that'll be fun. Just kind of revisiting the cozy fantasy and like nerdy cozy stuff I'm trying to get into. I am mostly waiting on holds for those right now, so I don't know when those are gonna come through. I do currently have the Star Wars, I guess, romance kind of novel that's out. The Princess and the Scoundrel, which that's about Han and Leia. I just haven't got to it yet, but I'm excited for that. I've read two Star Wars books by James S.A. Corey, like 10 years ago now, which is crazy. But I'm still deeply bitter because it was supposed to be a book from Leia's perspective, a book from Han's perspective, and one from Luke's perspective. And Luke's got canned because they scrapped all of that lore when Disney bought them out. So yeah, thanks Mickey. But this will be the first Star Wars book I've read in a long time. And I'm not really a romance reader. I've read a couple Sonali Dev books, and I tried one by Allie Hazelwood just because she kind of put the STEM spin on it. But usually that's like a subplot thing for me. But I'll make an exception for Star Wars. I think just my impressions before starting it. It might be kind of like cozy sci-fi, which is something I've had more trouble finding than cozy fantasy. But there's enough overlap between sci-fi and fantasy readers that maybe one subgenre coming up kind of takes the other with it. That would be nice to see. Last thing for this little, I don't know, reading vlog, I guess. Sorry, it's just me rambling, let's be real. I am about to get one of the Nancy Drew games. So, growing up, like one of my best friends in elementary school would get these games, and I kind of vaguely remember like playing one of them with him. No idea which one it was. But I always thought like those looked so much fun. I don't know why I never actually like tried to get one. But it's the year of our Lord 2023, and I have a Steam account, and lots of stuff is available that way now. So I looked, and there's a ton of them up through about 2011, 2012 that you can get for like $7, and it's supposed to be quite a good bit of gameplay. And they also have a few newer ones that are a little more expensive. I am seeing maybe possibly if since we don't have a D&D meetup, virtually this weekend, maybe I might be able to stream it and there's a way we could like collectively solve the mystery that way. But I'm gonna look more into that. But yeah, if we don't do it that way, I'm just gonna play the game through myself, and I'm really excited about this. It's the one set in Japan. There's only one of those. And apparently it's the scariest one. I didn't think these were supposed to be that scary, but I guess we'll see. I was kind of hoping it would be on the cozier side. But anyway, I have talked long enough, and I'm gonna check out now. So y'all, yep, take care, happy reading, stay cozy, all of that. I'll talk to you later.